Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lisa with Undermined Propaganda. March 15th, 2026. Wanted to make a video today, thinking a lot about the state of the world. Watched an episode of Tim Dillon, and it got me thinking, with his commentary, got me thinking. You know, you see a lot of pretty intense protests in other countries that are a lot larger than ours most of the time. Like, it's as though other countries fight back more than we do. As our system deteriorates, as the quality of life decreases, you keep wondering to yourself, at least I wonder to myself, at what point do we fill the streets? And that includes me. At what point is enough is enough? Protests have changed things in the past. They have been huge and full of passion, and it's as though a lot of the passion's gone to even try. And again, that's me as well. I feel the passion, but to actually get out in the streets and fight the way I truly believe we need to fight against this system, it seems like such an uphill battle. But let's go ahead and take a look at Tim Dillon and a little snippet of what he said on his show this past Saturday. Part of what got me thinking. I'm not going to play the video just in case copyright strike. All right. And thanks to Marco Foster for posting this. Tim Dillon says, the suburban American has a bloodlust that is absolutely insatiable. Our only joy is exporting violence. They don't care that we bombed a school of Iranian children. Many parts of this country are a moral black hole. Those are the people that are cheering on what's happening in Iran right now in Iran. And that it seems so true what he says there. It's just that there's a moral black hole. And I don't know if it's necessarily completely a moral black hole. With some people, I think it is. With other people, it's just there's so many distractions, and we've been propagandized to a point where we can't even find the passion that we need to make life worth living, to give ourselves a good quality of life. The power has been so siphoned away from all of us. In every realm, and especially economically. You know, it's hard to go out and fight in the streets when you got to work 3 jobs to pay the rent. It's hard to go and fight in the streets when there's so much surveillance. You'll end up on a list and then blacklisted from perhaps a job you'd be able to get in the future where you didn't have to have 3. You could just have 1. And then there's the promotion of all these things to keep us immiserated and distracted. And one of those things is gambling. Gambling has completely exploded in our society with the legalization of sports gambling online. And here's an idea of what we're actually gambling on and how dystopian it truly is. This is how we're occupying ourselves. Let's take a look at that real quick. In 2025, some of the most dystopian polymarket bets involved ongoing wars, corporate insider events, and extreme geopolitical scenarios, reflecting both public anxiety and the platform's permissionless nature. Geopolitical and conflict-related bets. Polymarket saw high-volume bets on ongoing conflicts, highlighting grim global concerns. For example, the Israel-Hamas ceasefire before July 2025 had odds drop below 20%, reflecting widespread pessimism about peace in Gaza, with total trading volume exceeding 5 million. Similarly, the Russia-Ukraine ceasefire in 2025 was predicted at only 24% probability, showing that traders were betting on prolonged conflict rather than resolution. Another extreme bet involved a $525 million bet on an Iran strike, executed with multiple wallets and precise timing, demonstrating how users speculated on potential military actions. So to occupy ourselves, to find some semblance of meaning in our lives, a lot of us are resorting to betting on when Iran is going to be bombed, when civilians are going to be killed, when a leader from a sovereign nation is going to be kidnapped, what time, by how many people in the armed forces. And this is truly, truly dystopian. And one of the ways that our society, our leaders, I believe, find a form of distraction so that we don't fight back. And there's, again, billions and billions that are coming from these bets, these dystopian bets, and going straight to the elites, siphoning even more money, making us even more powerless. And it's not just the dystopian bets that are made. It's people maxing out their credit cards, betting, losing their homes, losing their families, and losing their life oftentimes. Because of all the addictions, gambling actually has the highest suicide rate. So I think one of the reasons that we are not out on the streets fighting back the way we need to be is the distraction of the gambling markets, and how that is another thing that's nearly completely deregulated now. And Democrat and Republican alike are responsible for this. But as I've said before in other videos, Trump has put this on steroids. The owners of these organizations, Polymarket, Kalshi, these owners give money to the politicians deregulate it, and then it just goes haywire, and that's where we are now. We are a society of gamblers. Many, many, many of us. Another thing and reason that I see that's completely making us impotent is artificial intelligence. I talked about this a little bit in my last video, and the studies that are showing artificial intelligence is making us have an inability to critically think. It's making us even more docile. Chatbots are fueling delusional thinking. I mean, people are marrying chatbots instead of other humans. So just the humanity is just being siphoned away from us, so that the elite have more control, more power, and can continue doing what they want, which is siphoning any meaning of life, any quality of life away from us and to the top, and hoarding all of that for just a handful of people. Another part of this issue that I've been thinking about is actually it's the mental health field and SSRIs and psychotropics in general. Not here to say that they don't help some people in certain extreme situations. However, over the last 40 to 50 years, that is another thing that has exploded. And as many as 1 in 4 women and 1 in 8 American adults in general are on some kind of psychotropic. And there is clear evidence that one of the things that these psychotropics do is that they blunt emotions. So let's take a look. Here's a little bit on that right here. Oops, wrong one. Let's see here. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, here it is. From biologyinsights.com. Emotional blunting from psychotropic medications. Emotional blunting, also called reduced affect, is a diminished capacity to experience a full range of emotions, including both positive feelings, joy and excitement, and negative feelings, sadness and anger. It is not an official diagnosis, but is recognized as a symptom of certain mental health conditions or a side effect of the psychotropic drugs. Common causes: antidepressants, especially SSRIs, SNRIs, and SNRIs. That studies estimate estimate 40 to 60% of users report emotional numbness. Antipsychotics block dopamine receptors, reducing emotional expression and sometimes motivation. Mood stabilizers, some can flatten affect by dampening amygdala activity. And in benzodiazepines, high dose or long-term use can cause emotional dulling. So according to that right there, you're blunting the uncomfortable feelings, but sometimes those uncomfortable feelings are what motivate us to get angry about the fact that we don't have a living wage and you have to work 3 jobs to pay the rent, and sometimes can't even pay the rent with 3 jobs. To get angry at the fact that in our name, all of our resources are being applied to attacking and killing innocent civilians across the world to the benefit of those in power that want more land, that think that they're God's chosen people, that want the resources so they can continue hoarding the wealth. We're supposed to get mad about that stuff. We're not supposed to be docile about that stuff. And things like gambling that throws us into pits of despair because we've lost everything, gambling on these websites that are made to siphon our money. They aren't made for us to win. Psychotropics, which the pharmaceutical companies have gotten disgustingly rich on, and we're only one of 2 nations that can advertise those on TV, by the way. It's illegal in every other country. So that you see that advertisement and you go to your doctor and say, I'm sad, so I must have a chemical imbalance. Or maybe it's the society we live in that's making us anxious. So anyway, 1 out of 4 people, 1 out of 8 in America on these psychotropic drugs, which are, I think, plays into the fact that we are not out on the streets fighting back against this system. And there's also, the propaganda that it's our individual problem that we're anxious and depressed and not the system that we live in, the oppressive system we live in. And the propaganda that these gambling bets that you're going to win, you're going to hit the big one, and then all your financial concerns are going to be over. When in reality, it can make you suicidal. And there's also, you take the most basic thing like empathy, and especially over the past couple years, empathy has been something that has actually started to be looked at as a weakness or a flaw or a fault. I mean, for example, take a look at Elon Musk and a statement that he made, which, let's see here. He says, empathy is the fundamental weakness of Western civilization. Here's a man doing the Heil Hitler. And also somebody that says empathy is a fundamental weakness of Western civilization. So we are conditioned now to not even feel empathy, feel concern, feel caring. The things that make us collaborative as a society. The things that make us humane as a society. Because if we can take away all those things, then seeing a genocide on our phones for 2.5 years, we can look past it. There's no empathy, then it doesn't matter that that's where our tax dollars are going. So they can continue to have control over us and continue to take from us and continue to destroy the fabric of society and make us into just shells of what we were meant to be. We were meant to fight back and get angry when things weren't right. We were meant to fight back against people being oppressed. We were meant to get angry when we see someone vulnerable that's hurt. We were meant to. So, I don't know. I was just giving this a lot of thought after seeing the Tim Dillon video this weekend. I highly recommend going to his channel on YouTube. You can watch it and see the entire video that he has, and he just has his way of delivering very dark realities in a way that's almost entertaining to watch, but also makes you think. So, he says that moral black holes, and I think we are in some moral black holes, but there are ways to come out, and there are people that convey light and hope. And I keep looking for those people, listening to those people, and following those people. Also keeping in mind why so many of us aren't out on the streets fighting back. All right, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday, and I will see you soon. And please subscribe if you found anything of value in this. Thank you so much.